welcome to this Opengl short course. My name is Carsten Vermeulen and I'll be your host and your main guiding light in these next couple of videos where I help you build a very basic 3D application using the Opengl API. What we're going to be covering in the next few lessons is basically creating a basic 3D scene, learning a little bit about Opengl, how it works, building a very basic geometric shape, learning how to texture that, light it up, learning how to write some GLSL shader code, and a couple of things here and there in between. Now, alongside the code, I'll show you how to write good, clean Opengl and C++ code as well. But along the way, I'm also going to explain concepts as well and the theory behind certain things so that you truly and properly understand what is actually happening under the hood. This is really, really important, I feel and I believe, and I'm sure you'll agree, is understanding the concepts and not just copy-pasting code and doing things and just letting it work, but really understanding what is happening and understanding how Opengl really works. Okay, so you may have guessed we will be using Opengl, the API. Now, it's not an SDK, so you don't really install it per se. It's a graphics standard, okay? So it's basically a standard set within your graphics card drivers. So the first prerequisite for this course is to have semi-decent graphics card with updated graphics drivers. Okay, this course is also built cross-platform, so I will be mainly using a Windows development environment with Visual Studio. Okay, you can also, if you're building your application on a Mac, you can use Xcode as well. Opengl works on a Mac as well. Linux developers, you may have your own tool set, but this course and these lessons are designed that anybody can follow along quite easily. Okay, so besides Visual Studio and Opengl, we're also going to be using SDL. This is basically to set up our Opengl context or canvas to render within and also allow us to read different input. You may, as an alternative, want to use SFML or GLFW or FreeGlut or GLUT, but as far as I know, those last two are obsolete, so you may not want to use those, but you can. We're also going to be using an extension library, a very lightweight extension library called GLAD, G-L-A-D, which is going to help us load extensions from our graphics card. Now, without this mechanism in place, we will have very, very old Opengl at our disposal, which we don't want. So we're going to be using that as well. For the maths part of our course, where we build cameras and we learn about projections and the 3D scene, we're going to be using the help of GLM, a very robust, also lightweight maths library. And this gives us tool sets that we can use, tools that we need, like vectors and matrices and a whole bunch of other things as well. Finally, for us to be able to write proper GLSL code, we're using IntelliSense and syntax highlighting. There is a plugin for Visual Studio that I'm going to show you how to install called the GLSL syntax highlighter, which allows us to basically prevent us from having just plain white boring text, which is not very difficult to manage and debug without this tool. So this basically offers IntelliSense and syntax highlighting, so your code lights up and it just makes your life a whole lot easier. So that's another tool we're going to be using in this course as well. Okay, so enough of me babbling on about what we're going to be doing. Let's actually crack on and do it. Let's get stuck in.